It would have been tough to say he would have lasted a full season. So, like, I just can't see him carrying the torch no longer either. So either way, you was gonna have to possibly build around Shaq in his later years or win something.
So either way,
You could it's LA though. You could get somebody to come there too. So
well, and maybe if you trade Kobe, it just depends who you get back. If it's T-Mac, maybe it's unfortunate if the injuries hold up or something like that. But Shaq, the future was there with Kobe. That was the decision the Lakers made. Kobe at least had most of his career to go, and they made that choice. But for a short window, it looked like the bad choice.
Yeah, from 05 to 08 until they got Pau Gasol, that was looking very bad.
Yeah, it looked like they were going nowhere. But
isn't that funny though? Like, I'm not the you know what I'm saying, shit on Powell's career, because Powell is a hell of a player, but all in all though, like, that's one player. Like, was he that important, or did Kobe just really need some help?
Derek Fisher, Phil Jackson also are two big pieces at that point that I don't want to just say Powell came in and Phil Jackson coming back.
He was there though.
As anything of that championship scenario.
But Phil was there when they got booted by the Suns. He was
there. He was there.
NBA.
That team was
they just didn't have no second option. Like, you can't win a playoff series hardly without a second option. Like,
yeah, Lamar's not a 2. He's a 3. He's not a 2.
Yeah. So, like, I think that just sealed the deal once Kobe got that second option.
Yeah, they went to 3 straight finals and won back-to-back. So
yeah,
I did.
That's pretty tough to argue. You know, Shaq won on that Miami team, and we all know D Wade was the main focal point of that championship. So, like,
I did. 1 second, guys. Sean, I did tell you that you could come on this Wednesday, but I did not remember that I had B4B coming on. So I apologize. That's on me. I do not have a guest as I'm looking on my calendar for next Wednesday. So if you want to be on next Wednesday, I will put you on my calendar just so I remember and we can talk about next Wednesday. My apologies, brother. But what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Nightcap. How are you fellas doing? Wait for Boo out to get back on the screen, and then we could do a proper intro, you know, because there's always a cheers at the beginning. But I want to wait for Boo out. But how you guys feeling today? Well, tonight.
We're good.
Good. Yeah. Football about to start. I know, you know, but we got to keep basketball alive somewhere, and this is how we do it, man. Just open discussions at night, you know, while we chill out, you know, relaxing. Let's get it. LeBron's extension. Good for the Lakers. Bad for the Lakers. How you guys feeling?
I got a question for you guys about that first, see where you guys' heads are at. Now, were y'all hearing that LeBron probably wouldn't sign quite yet? Was this a surprise signing for you guys, or were you expecting
the timing of it was a surprise for me, because he usually doesn't sign this early. He usually waits for the summer just to figure everything out, especially with cap space and how that looks. But I mean, this telling me that he's signing right now is like he's fully committed, and you know, I think he likes what they've done in this offseason, even though it hasn't been any major moves, but it's at least somewhat of an improvement from last year. So I think with the new coaching staff, with Darvin Ham being there too as well, so I think, you know, I think he has full confidence in the team right now. So I think that's why he probably didn't want that to be lingered all season long too, because, you know, it's already enough you have to deal with the Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, and he don't want the distraction.
That's a lot for a team to deal with, especially even if you're like, especially with Darvin Ham being his first year as head coach. So I think he just wanted to just cut that out and just make sure that he just signed the dotted line and went from there going full straight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by it. I don't think I'm surprised. I always thought that LeBron would resign, and I thought he would get it out the way, especially with KD and all that drama going on. You know, you don't want your end of what you need to, you know, handle your business. You don't want that to linger. So it's better to just get it out the way and then, you know, go down the road. I think he is confident in the team that he has. I know he understands that they dealt with a lot of injuries. You know, he dealt with injuries. You know, AD dealt with some injuries, and a couple of other guys on the team. You know, and a lot of those guys didn't perform up to that level because they didn't have those pieces there around them that they needed. So I think if this year, if they could definitely stay healthy, I think he has everything in the world to be confident about, because I think they definitely make the playoffs.
Boy, you hope so with the with the guys on the top of that roster. You sure
They
hope
got a little bit more experience there. I think though what just hinges on the Lakers season is health. I think that's more than anybody. Like if the Lakers fall apart again, then they have no shot. But if they can stay healthy throughout the majority of the season, like if LeBron can play 65, 70 games, 80 can stay somewhere in that realm too, I think they'll be well off. Then the thing after that is just figuring out what Westbrook rule is.
Yeah, it's I think myself, like I still think LeBron has a lot left in the tank. I think he can be the best guy on a championship team. I just don't think he can carry a team through the season anymore. And I need Anthony Davis to do that this year. So LeBron signing the extension, I think speaks a lot to me about how he's feeling about AD and where he might be at. So I'm intrigued that he signed when he did. I didn't expect it that soon myself. And what I like about it is it shows a little commitment to LA. And if they want to talk about anybody else coming in, whatever they're building there, it's legit, it's real, and this is not a new setting for LeBron. Like at this point, this is running it back with Westbrook. This is running it back with AD, who's been there. So I have all the expectations for the Lakers and LeBron coming into this season. This isn't I don't view this as a rebuild. You know, if they retooled the roster around them, it's still not a rebuild. And it's like, okay, if you're signing on, speaks a lot of volumes to the confidence he might have to the situation that he's in. And it's like, okay, maybe I'll look out for the Lakers. Maybe.
Boo up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with B4B. I think it got to have something to do with his confidence in AD as well as Russ. Like Russ is still going to more likely be there. Like it's going to be hard to move him. So it does say that he trusts the team and he's in it, I guess. You know what I mean? And I do believe he can still possibly be the best player on a playoff championship run, like not a regular season run. I need that to be Anthony Davis, or I don't think this works at all. But if that's the case, yeah, I can see them at best being a 5th seed, maybe a 4th seed, but scare the hell out of somebody in the first 2 rounds easily.
Yeah, I think they need to avoid the play-in tournament at all costs, because those are probably 2 games extras that you don't need to play, where you can actually just, play the first 2 rounds, play the first 2 games in a playoff series. So I definitely think the play-in will not be beneficial for them. We saw what happened to them 2 years ago when they played in the play-in, when they played against the Warriors, and then that game was a nail-biter. And then they play Phoenix, and AD ends up getting hurt, and then they lose that series. So
yeah, 2 more games in a playoff, like on a run to a championship. 2 more games matters, because you don't know, because you got to win 16 to win the championship, but then you make it 18 after playing 82 games or 70 games in a season. That's
might make it 1 though, because that's any given Sunday, man.
Right,
like a team can show up and just have your card that night.
Your card that night, yeah.
Like, and it just be that way. So, and then you like, it's just 1 more game that somebody could get hurt, somebody key could get hurt, even if it's that 8th man guy in the rotation. Like that guy is going to matter in the playoffs. So you just want to avoid that extra game at all costs, like period.
Yeah, don't play any more games you don't have to play. That's just especially with an older team like that. I know they got younger in a lot of spots, but those 2 guys, you want to have them healthy and not be able for them to push it to the max when they don't really have to right now. Just save all the energy for the playoff run. So,
well, they're going to have to pace themselves beautifully through the season, and that's where having Darvin Ham, a rookie head coach, kind of isn't favorable, as far as like he's got to figure out his rotation and his lineups. But luckily, the veteran leadership of LeBron, that'll be a big part of the decision making, as far as like, what kind of rest everybody may or may not have. Because I'll say this, just like I just said, LeBron can't carry a team through a whole season. I don't think he can actually flip that switch at the playoffs either. And he's got to be playing at that level heading into it. I still think he's got it in the tank. But if you're going to be resting the last month because you've got lingering injuries and you've got to flip that switch, just like we expected last year, right? That was Anthony Davis.
I mean, didn't he say it?
It just what was that?
I said, didn't LeBron say something like that? Like
Time-
wait till we get to the playoffs or something like that?
Yeah, and it's just for me, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I got no faith in needing that to be the case. There's players at certain times in their careers, I'm like, yeah, you can flip that switch. It's time. I don't think LeBron's got that anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
I agree. That's tough to do.
Excuse me.
But LeBron still gives me top 10 vibes. I just don't think he needs the workload. Like, he has to play clearly all NBA level too. Like, make no mistake. Like, he has to be that type of level. So I picture LeBron averaging somewhere around 23 points, 7 assists, 7
8
rebounds.
Yeah, he was all NBA this year though too, right? He was third team, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he got
he
third.
can be third team again, and we
Yeah.
know as long as he represents that
Second or
that
third?
going into the playoffs, because
13 the
I
year
just don't want.
he was second last year. Yeah,
I thought he was third. He might have been.
I thought he was third this year.
could be.
Yeah, it really don't matter because we just need to see him be top 15ish most of the season.
Yeah.
That's it. And
He
then
can
when the
coast in the
playoffs
top
start,
15. It
Yeah.
seems like though.
that's
Yeah,
what
he
it seems like.
Yeah,
to
he
me.
was
third this
13.
year.
Yeah, he was
Okay.
13.
That's what it seems like to me. He can coast and do this like with no problem.
Yeah.
And I think what Darvin Ham's saying too, that they're going to run the offense through AD, and he's all aboard for it too as well. I think that definitely helped make his decision easier to sign that extension too as well. But it's a matter of question is if he's on the floor.
Yeah.
So
Uwap said 23 points for the season for LeBron. I think that's a little low. I think minimum he's going to average 25.
Yeah, I would say 25, 8, and 8.
I think with Westbrook on the team, like I think it's easier for him. I know he can average 30 again if he needed to, like if he wanted to. Clearly, that's what it looks like at this point. Like if they needed him to go out here and average 30, not saying it's going to work because we've seen what that movie looks like. It's not going to work, but he could do it. I just think for the regular season only, like 23 for him. I want to see AD average 30. Like that's going to convince me that this thing might work.
Do you
he had
believe in
30
that?
last year.
I don't think AD has 30. You got to be a
If AD
killer.
averaged
You gotta
30,
be getting to the bucket.
that puts him back in the top 10.
I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying I want to see it because I don't want to see LeBron, especially with Westbrook. Like I think Westbrook can average 20 on this team, and
Yeah,
that
he did
would be
18 last year,
beneficial.
18 and a half.
That would be beneficial to them because that means he's
He
playing
led
better,
them in
right?
all like statistical categories too. Westbrook.
Well, totals.
Yeah,
Not
totals.
he
Well,
led
yeah,
them in
totals.
Well, because he played like 78 games last year too. So
Hey,
Exactly.
that's not a knock against him. That's a plus.
no, yeah,
Oh
exactly.
no, but it don't matter to people because people clearly don't care about that. Like they still will kill Russ like he had the worst year in basketball ever last year, and he didn't. He just had a down year, definitely for his standards. But again, that team was a mess.
But I said that Westbrook, and I said this about the Nets, and I say it about the Lakers. Like those guys went into it with the mindset that they all would be there. And when the guys start going down and Westbrook's in the game without LeBron and AD, like he doesn't know what the role is because he knows what he was told what the role is when he went coming in. But now that they're not there, what is it? Do I go back to being myself? Do I still try to get these other guys involved? Like I'm still thinking of that role that I was told I was going to play it. So, I don't know. I would like to see, that role be better this year for Westbrook. But I just think it just depends on AD and LeBron staying healthy because, LeBron has had some, nagging injuries, over the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, they just defense. That's the name of the game. When they played really good defense, they were on top notch. And I think Darvin Ham will bring that defensive intensity with him being with Atlanta and then him being with Milwaukee too. They were like defensive minded teams too as well. So I think him bringing that defensive mindset back to the Lakers where they did in 2020, where they were a really high level defensive team, will definitely be beneficial for them. Although they are missing some key pieces on that championship team that played really good defense. I think the young guys that they did bring in, especially protecting the rim and protecting defenders on the perimeter, will definitely be beneficial for them in the future.
Anthony Davis has got to be one of those elite defenders. I think he's got to be in the depoy conversation.
Yeah, he was in 2020. He finished second behind Giannis. So if he can get back to that level, then that would be great. I would
Even
love
just
that.
top 10, just mention, making impact and anchoring the defense and making plays and giving some flexibility to guys like Westbrook and LeBron who, put in a good effort on the defensive end. I think LeBron gets ragged on pretty good with the highlight reels these days, but they don't have it anymore. They're not at that stage in their career. So he's got to give those guys a little flexibility.
Yeah, protect the rim, alter shots, grab rebounds, and that should be good.
Yeah.
So did any of you guys take a look at the NBA schedules?
Yeah, it's like a reality show. They're putting their best games forward. So trying to get everybody to buy in too. Well, that's what it is. It's a reality show.
I glanced at Boston's. I see we play Bucks on Christmas and then the Nuggets on New Year's. Seem like two pretty good games to have on those days.
Yeah, Lakers play the Warriors on the road on opening night where they get their rings.
Mm-hmm.
You have
That's
the four.
interesting.
Yeah, you got LeBron, Clay, Steph, Draymond, all with 4 rings. They're getting their rings, and then you got the Lakers playing on the road at Dallas, which I thought was an interesting matchup. I didn't think they would put Dallas against the Lakers on Christmas. I thought they might have that would have been a good matchup. I know they're playing pretty soon too, but that was an interesting matchup to see them playing each other. So,
but I don't view that's not a team matchup. That's a player matchup. That's LeBron versus Luka on Christmas Day. That's a Christmas treat for all basketball fans.
Mm-hmm. I agree there.
Passing of the torch kind of scheduling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Why else would they be putting those teams on Christmas Day? They're putting the faces of the league up against each other.
Makes sense too, like you said.
Yeah, I just wonder how that schedule would look like if we didn't hear the KD, wants out of Brooklyn, and then Kyrie with all this trade speculation. I know they would have been put on Christmas too as well. They probably would have played the Knicks.
And then the Clippers with their load management as well. Like, you probably don't want to schedule a team like that either.
Yeah.
Can't count on Kawhi to play on Christmas Day.
But I was glad. I was surprised they didn't try to squeeze New Orleans in there. I thought with Zion coming back, I thought they would have kind of been in the running for a Christmas Day game. But I was kind of surprised not to see them in there.
True.
The only team left not to have a Christmas game is the Hornets.
They could have gone with Pelicans Pistons as like the first matchup of the day. With little Cade Cunningham, Zion Williamson to kick it off.
Yeah, I would have loved to see them versus Memphis. That would have been good. You see the top 2 players in that draft class.
Yeah, that's even better. Yeah, scratch what I said. Yeah, Pelicans Grizzlies. Yeah.
but I know they're trying to build up that Grizzly Warrior rivalry too as well. So I know that was that played a part in that too. So
sure.
I just messed up my damn place or where I was.
Yeah, it was an interesting schedule, this year. Just a lot of different moving parts in it too as well. So, I mean, it was kind of interesting just to see how everything turned out. But that Boston Milwaukee game is gonna be really good too, because you actually get to see. Hopefully we'll get to see both of those teams at full strength, even though we missed that in the playoff series. So that'll be nice to see how they look, together, especially with Malcolm Brogdon being there and Gallinari being there. Seeing how they acclimate to the system that Ime Udoka wants to run to as well. So that would be interesting. That would be a good matchup to see. So
yeah, I can't wait to see like how the improvements, like the 2 pieces that Boston got, the key pieces, like how it improves the team and how better our defense looks along the way.
I wish we would have got Atlanta versus New York in MSG though. I wanted to see Trae Young and MSG again on Christmas. That would have been a really good game to see.
That's a great call.
Yeah. Trae at the Garden, the New York really hates him right now, so it would have definitely been a good game for sure.
I could have just imagined Spike Lee just being there and just Trae Young just bowing at the crowd and everything like that. That would have been an interesting sight to see though too as well.
Okay,
so,
I was talking to Troy about this earlier. There is Rivalry Week. Did you guys hear about this?
Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting. So here's the matchups: Boston, Miami, Clippers, Lakers, Nets, Sixers, Grizzlies, Warriors, like you said, Bulls, Hornets, Dallas, Phoenix, Memphis, Minnesota. Oh, that could be good. Toronto, Golden State, Denver, Philly, Knicks, Nets, and Lakers, Boston.
I don't. Go back like 3 teams. Like,
I know the Hornets and the Bulls. That's LaMelo versus Lonzo. That's the brothers matchup.
No, towards the end, you said the Knicks versus who?
Nets.
The Nets.
No, they're before that.
But there was one. Here's one that caught that I just think I don't get it. It's Toronto versus Golden State.
Yeah, that's the one. Toronto versus Golden State. Like, that's a rivalry.
No, they don't.
That's a rivalry. Why? Because Kawhi beat him. Kawhi's not there no more.
A finals rematch that doesn't have KD.
What's the logic behind that?
Without, like,
NBA. What is the logic behind it?
Here's the logic again. See, I got a marketing mind. I'm just making this stuff up, by the way, but it might be. But it's Canada. Canada versus the Golden Child. So at least you bring in the whole nation of the Raptors there versus the Golden State Warriors, who everybody's a fan of. So I think it's just the two huge fan bases. I think is the motivation.
So you'll see Drake. You'll see Drake on the sidelines. Whistling at Steph and Draymond. Like,
yeah.
Nah, but it's a good game. But if we talking about rivalries, I don't think that's a rivalry.
I agree. It's not.
That doesn't fit the quota of like what we're doing here. It's like if I told you to guess that player and I gave you the whole team.
And most of these games are based off what happened last year in the playoffs, like Minnesota, Memphis.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's Minnesota and Memphis is a really good one. I like that one.
Yeah, that could be.
I like that one. The Bulls and the Hornets, I like that one. The brothers going up, if they're healthy at the time. Hopefully they're healthy. You see the brothers and how they progressed in that game.
Lonzo healthy, right?
No, Lonzo, they did. The last thing I heard about Lonzo Ball is the Bulls had some questions about his knees. They were concerned long term about his knee.
I mean, that's probably gonna always be a concern for him, but I'm just saying I thought he was healthy, like ready to go.
No. Mm-hmm.
And are they trying to do Denver, Philly because of Embiid and Embiid and Jokic because they finished 1-2 in MVP voting last year?
Yeah, because they know they screwed Embiid out of an MVP.
Yeah, and it's like the teams obviously aren't rivals. Like who's a rival with the Nuggets anyway? I don't even know if they're worthy of a rival.
Let me ask you something. Talk about the Nuggets real quick.
Right,
real for a split second. Do you think the system in the Nuggets is a championship winning system? And I mean like the whole run the offense through Joker.
No, I don't have championship aspirations for Joker, the Nuggets, or their situation right now. I don't, with what they've got going on, I don't see how they're getting out of the West. And that's for their future too. Like I see other teams. I see the Phoenix Suns with Devin Booker. I see Dallas Mavericks with Luka. I see the Pelicans with Zion. So I see a bunch of other teams coming. And I'm sorry, Denver Nuggets, but y'all have not put yourself in a position to continue to build. You're kind of been sitting with your wheels spinning for 3 or 4 years now. Jokic is back-to-back MVP, and the team has nothing to show for it. So my answer to that question is a pretty emphatic no.
I mean, they're the team we think of every year. Is this the year? Is this the year? Is this the year? And it always turns out not to be the year. So it's like, I think that.
But some people would say,
I think the bubble made it worse because they played so well and Jamal Murray was balling out and ended up losing to the Lakers. So I think the bubble gave them higher expectations than they needed to be. And it's kind of like, okay, why can't we get that bubble team, all year?
But why not have those expectations? They were in the Western Conference Finals, and you've got a 2-time MVP on your team. You got expectations. Make it happen, Denver, because and looking at it, I'm like, it's not going to happen. But they should be making it happen right now. Like the Nuggets should be the team to beat in the West, and they've done nothing for 3 years.
And I look at
but that's what I was going to say. The people are going to say they heard Jamal Murray not there, and it's like we don't use that. I tend to say people were hurt and got to take that accountability, but consensus does not use that as a reason why a guy didn't make a championship, unless it's like, I don't know if we're saying Jamal Murray is a star, but he is not a star in my eyes. He's the most I would put him as an all-star.
He's promising though, like
he is, but
like
that's why I said in the beginning, I want to see how the injury affects his game. Like we just can't act like he's going to come back and be that same Jamal Murray. We don't know how that affects him. Injuries affect him.
Well, is Jamal Murray a legitimate second punch on an NBA championship team? I don't think
no.
To me, no.
I don't think so.
And I don't think MJP or MPJ is a viable option either. He's hurt too much.
He's just a prospect right now. Like he's raw talent. He hasn't even started to scratch what he's capable of.
Right, but when is he going to if he's always injured?
Exactly, and it's got to happen. It should be happening right now. And we're talking about injuries for the Nuggets. There's another team that overcame some injuries not too long ago, and they won the championship last year. Clay was out for 2 years. Curry was out for a year. That team dealt with it.
But see, for me, that ain't surprising. I expect that team to do that. They
re-equipped and retooled and got guys like Gary Payton and Jordan Poole like in the mix.
But that's why I say you talk about Gary Payton. I think they're going to really miss him this year on the defensive side of the ball.
He ended up on a pretty good team.
Portland. And I think Portland's going to make the playoffs this year.
So, I mean, in the bubble, though, even though I'm big on everything's not real in the bubble, he did show promise because, like, it was a lot of talk that he might be the future before Jokic won them back-to-back MVPs. Some people believe that he could be potentially the future of the team after that performance.
Because they knew if you ran your system through a big man like that type of big man, it wouldn't work. So they're looking for another viable
way, though, Troy, though, you got to realize he really only playing this way because he has to play this way right now. Like, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he can't change his game and play a different way, but that means the system has to change for him to do that. So that's why I asked the original question is, do you think the system is a winning championship system? The system is what you play in. The system is how you play good ball, how you call your plays, how you run your plays, how you go through your offensive progressions. That's the system. He is the front guy in that system.
You have the entire league at your disposal. Who are you teaming up with Jokic play style wise? I don't think Jamal Murray play style wise is the right fit with Jokic. So I think there's a bunch of other ways you can go with it.
Go with it.
Exactly. I'm not saying he's the best fit for it, but I'm saying based off what we did see, because we never seen this version of Jokic play with Jamal Murray truly.
But how we know he is, but then I could counter and say how we know he is this version of Jokic if Jamal Murray and MPJ is healthy.
Oh, that's
then
real.
You're taking possessions, but we have to be real. Then you're taking possessions out of Jokic's hand where he has options to. Murray's going to handle the ball, and then you have an option to kick to MPJ.
So what you're saying, his production will come down.
Right. He has other options that have
that's
the ball.
Understandable if your production come down.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's a knock. Yeah, I'm not saying that's a knock, but that's what I'm saying. This Jokic, we possibly wouldn't see it if those two guys were healthy.
I just think we won't see the production. I think once you become this type of player, you don't revert back to
but that's what I'm talking about. His production and what he did in this season, what he had to do on the floor to get his team in the position that they were in.
That's okay, as long as it's Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. doing the, you know what I'm saying, they're getting their production. If them,
right?
I think he has two 20-point scorers on his team. Jokic won't have to average 27, 28 a game no more. He would have to average about 21, 10. I'll say he still get about 10.
But then we could look at the flip side of that. And what if he now wants to be in that role more? What if he's that guy who won 2 straight MVPs? Everybody's looking at him as rivalry. The rivalry with
I personally know
with Giannis, for being the best player in the league. Some people call this guy the best player in the league.
He's not that selfish. And I've personally spoken to him about this exact topic. So I know his mindset.
No, I know he's not selfish. I know he's not selfish at all. But hey, he could just be like, yo, it worked the last year. I just needed y'all to do this. Now sit back and let me drive the bus. Fully drive it. Like Jamal Murray, move your foot off the gas pedal. I'm taking full control. I got it.
Even if Jamal Murray is the leading scorer on the team, that don't mean he's the best player on the team.
No, because I know he's facilitating the offense and getting Jamal Murray in his spots to get a shot. I know everything he brings to, and that's why he's number 3 in my top 10 guys in the league right now. You understand? Like, I get it. I know what he can do. I know who Jokic is.
I'm just saying, like, we have to wait to see what Porter Jr. gonna be like.
No, 100%. That's my biggest question, though. Cool. I'm not high on him because I want to see more.
Me too. I'm not high on him.
It's the same. It's the same thing. School is the same thing School was doing the other day with calling Ben Simmons trash soft and all this. Like Ben Simmons came out with expectation. Now that he's not in people's eyes, that he's not living up to those expectations, he should be doing this and being more aggressive and taking shots and all this. He should be doing that, and he's not. So he's not living up to this. It's the same thing with Michael Porter Jr. Like this guy was supposed to be in the names of, like, people were saying he's going to be the next this guy and the next that guy, and it's like, what has he shown in those years? And it's like, yeah, he came out and he had one good, very efficient year. Like, it was very efficient, but how can he replicate that? How can he get better from that?
I would say the only reason those expectations were put on MPJ is because of, huh?
No, I'm shouting out SP Talks.
Is because of the contract he signed. And that was the conversation. He had not proven anything before he signed that max. And that was a big roll of the dice. And guess what? He got hurt. And we still haven't seen if he's worth that type of money. Ben Simmons has those expectations.
Yeah.
Draft pick. They were competing in the East, number one seed.
No, I know the situations are different, but I'm just saying, like, just the end of it of trying to understand, like, they would call this guy soft, but then when it comes to, you know, another guy doing it, because the circumstances are a little bit different, they'd be like, oh no, it's all circumstance with this guy, but not circumstance with Ben Simmons.
Well,
and it's like it has to do something with circumstance.
And when guys are not on the court because of injury, you know, such.
No, 100%, and not on the court because you choose to be. It's two different things. Yeah. I 100% agree. Yeah. But I'm just talking about you're right. I don't want to carry on that point, but I get exactly
don't blur them lines right there, Troy. Because Ben Simmons, man, like
I'm not blurring the line. I'm just talking about. I'm not talking about the situations. I forgot how I explained it last week. It's not the situation. It's like what happens, like how the flack they get for it is just not the same. When you know you can look at one guy and be like, all right, this guy in a different way kind of did the same sort of is in that same predicament. And like,
well, LeBron is a perfect example of that.
So. You're getting critiqued.
Yeah, just being held to different standards. Had any other team won that bubble championship in 2020, they would now have got the same flag LeBron did.
It's facts.
Of course.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. That's a fact.
I don't know. And I'm only speaking for me. I'm not speaking for a majority of anybody. I'm speaking for Troy. All right, just Troy. All right, that's what I'm speaking for. Just Troy.
You know what it is? It's because it was LeBron. It does come in this unfair.
I think 100% for the consensus. Like big talking media heads, they hated that LeBron won that championship.
If it didn't happen like that, though, and people didn't react like that,
if the Heat won it, I would have been.
But you could listen to it as opposed to it's too much. When I just hear the complete dismissal of the bubble, it's like, you know,
I don't dismiss it. Like, but
you don't hold it as much weight as other.
Right. I do not look at it as, oh, Jamal Murray and T.J. Warren are those guys. Like, no, I want to see that when all of the NBA is into play, not just a portion of it. Like, the bubble was just a portion of NBA, and it was just the basketball of it. Like, there's a lot that goes into a game.
More than
crowds,
NBA though.
No, 100%. It was 50%. Okay. You said it's 50%, and the other 50%. But to me, the most important part is traveling, being in other people's home court with their arenas and their fans and going through that, especially in the playoffs. Like that matters in the playoffs. So not having that just for me, I didn't watch the bubble. I didn't watch it because it wasn't entertaining for me just seeing these guys in a gym. Like I want to see the crowd screaming, making noise. Like when they celebrate, the cameras panning to the fans, like it's panning to guys on big screens, and they're not doing anything. It's
you didn't enjoy the bubble and the style of play, which is interesting because I found it fascinating. But you start whether you personally enjoyed it or not, is that ring less valuable? Because I thought that's what you said at the beginning. Like it's a bubble ring, so it doesn't carry as much weight as other.
Rings. I mean, but what Melvin said it, but I agree with it because. When we're looking at championships and we're ranking them on the scale, yes, things are going to come and play, and the bubble will be probably ranked low on the list.
Lower for you, Melvin? Is it lower for you?
No,
and we're talking about Dirk's championship. Where you putting the bubble in that conversation? And we're talking about Kawhi championship. Where you putting the bubble in that conversation?
Or Tim Duncan's
first lockout championship.
Right, but that's what I'm talking about. The top. I just said that. Like in the top titles, he's probably going to be at the bottom of that list. Along with just like you guys say, where do you rank KD's championships? At the bottom, right? They're at the bottom, right? Because of his circumstances. It's the same thing.
Nobody's
same
saying
thing.
that, but it's like coming into the season though. The difference is nobody had it like the Lakers is by far the favorites to win the title.
No, but you didn't. I don't think you heard me. I wouldn't have cared for me, just Troy, just for Troy. I wouldn't have cared if the Heat won it. Even if Boston would have won it, I would have said, that's great. Now do it when all of the NBA is into play, because that's what I watch the NBA for. I watch it for the excitement. I watch it for the entertainment. I watch it for the skill, the talent. I watch it for all those things. And half of it wasn't there. And I'm not the only one that feel that way. I know a lot of big, YouTubers and all those people that get into sports, they couldn't really watch either. Like, because it wasn't what they were used to. I just wasn't used to it. Watching basketball since I was 15 years old. I'm used to it being one way. Even in a lockout year, there was fans. Like, I get it. Pandemic, things change, but I'm not used to a basketball where there's no crowd, where there's no flying to other people's court. There's no home court advantage in a playoff series. Like, it's just an open gym and guys are just playing ball. Yeah, the ball could have been beautiful. It could have been an art piece, but that don't mean that everybody enjoyed it. And I'm just one of those people that just did not enjoy the moment.
Well, and that's where I want to separate the enjoyment of it and the value of it. So the enjoyment of it, I get what you're saying,
but
it makes
when you look at the value end of it, you take those things about the entertainment thing of it not being the crowd, not having the road games and all the other things that go into it. It would be valued low on the list when you're talking about LeBron's first championship, Steph's first championship, Bird's championship, Magic's championship,
I want to kindly
Kareem's
push back on you on that, because all those things that you said, we just view it super differently, because not having a home court advantage, not having travel days, I view that as the playing field completely evened. The home court advantage that the Lakers had went
and I wouldn't, and that's why I said it wouldn't have mattered. For me, whoever won, it wouldn't have mattered. See, I would agree with you if I was just saying, oh yeah, because the Lakers won, then that's why. No, I would have felt this if the Heat won, if the Bucks won, if the Warriors won, if the Sixers won, it wouldn't have mattered to me. I'm just used to the game being that way. So when I look at the championship, yeah, it could have been, and I agree. Boo, know that I agree it was equal. Right, they all went through the same thing. Well, I wouldn't say the same thing because some people were dealing with mental health issues. I'm not going to knock that and take it away from that situation. I'm done being locked in the hotels and they can't really go out and stuff like that. That takes a toll on people too. Especially when you're in your life, you're not. Yeah, right. You're not used to it. So I'm not taking away from the equal value that everybody had to play on. But sometimes, like not even sometimes, the majority of the time when you watch basketball, the advantages swing. So even if I have home court advantage, a lot of times road teams beat people on their home court advantage. So it's not just the home court advantage. It's just a guy going into format like the formats that you're used to. I'm used to.
Well, that's why they got to play the game. It's not 100%.
No, 100%. 100%.
Advantage isn't going to have it. And I want to answer this question you asked earlier, and I'll let other dudes speak. But where would I put it? Next to the Dirk ring? Right next to it. I'd put it way up there, man. The bubble ring, the Dirk ring, the 2016-73 win comeback ring. Like that, it was the bubble ring I actually look at as a pretty special ring. But it, like just like you got yours, that's for me.
Yeah, I'm not. I respect it, but I disagree.
I just think a lot of people had it. I think a lot of people just had an issue with it because LeBron won it because of what happened. True. Yeah, so that's why a lot of people. But it's funny though, when you look at other sports, those 2020 rings, a lot of people didn't give the Dodgers shit when they won it. Nobody said shit when Tom Brady won it. But they
always said shit when Tom Brady won. I'm a Giants fan.
Yeah, but first year Tampa Bay, they go in the Super Bowl.
You can't say that about that.
You know what I mean? Like LeBron was the only top tier athlete who got shit for winning a ring in 2020.
That's facts. That's facts.
I was surprised the Bucks won, but that is facts but to be fair, I didn't watch football that year either because there was no crowd. So
no crowd
on both ends. Yeah, I did not watch either of the sports that I love because it was I didn't get the full enjoyment that I normally get out of it. So I just didn't.
Football's a crowd-based sport. You need that.
Yeah, I watched more highlights than I ever have in my life because I just couldn't watch a full game of not having the elements that I was so used to them being in. You know, and they got harsh elements. I'm not saying it like it's harsh elements and they can't put up with it. It's too much. No, it's a right balance too with the elements. Like you play home games, you play away games. You play people on the other courts, you play people on your court. Like there's equal advantages in the NBA season too. The only thing that I would say that's not equal is injuries. Like some teams get more injured than other people, but that's just the luck of the draw. Like nobody controls that. You know, and even in the bubble, a lot of guys didn't come and even play in the bubble.
I still think, like, at the end of the day, that's still like entertainment value, right? You know, and I get it. It matters, right? It definitely matters. But I still think, like, from a player standpoint, no player can walk away from the bubble that played in the bubble and say this shit was unfair.
No, 100%. I said that before. I agree with you 100%. I just did not enjoy it, and if I'm ranking it,
and I get it, like,
I'm probably gonna put it next to the KD ranks.
We want to be able to, like, feel like, because see, when you're a real fan of the game, you feel like you actually are swaying the game, like you feel like you're doing this, even though you have I mean, not to say that the fans don't have something to do with it. I still
now they definitely in the moment in the game, fans definitely give teams momentum to come back or to push forward and get through there to help get their second win and to control a game. Like that's a big aspect of it. Like,
yeah, we saw it all the playoffs last year when Memphis was playing Golden State, and all you hear is "whoop that trick," and you hear Draymond and Steph Curry singing it, or then the Draymond's a bitch from the Boston fans. You know that livens it up.
That's motivation. That's fuel. That gets them pumped. That gets them riled up. They didn't have none of that. The nigga on the tablet,
too, though.
The dude on the tablet, you can't even hear what he's saying. Like, what he say? I don't know what he said.
Sometimes them fans can rile the wrong team up.
No, but that's the enjoyment of the game. Like Reggie,
you don't know which way it's gonna go.
Kobe, James Harden.
That's what I'm mostly saying.
All these guys have moments where fans have said something to them, celebrities have said something to them, and they beat the team and went crazy on them in the second half because they were talking smack to them. That's the enjoyment of the game. Like we couldn't even get that. But all we got was a TJ Warren playing out of his mind where he never played that way before. How long has he been in the league?
Yeah, but you can bring up anomalies in regular seasons too, like that didn't happen in the bubble. You can bring up anomalies because they didn't. Some guys never repeated what they did the year before.
You said
Phoenix went undefeated in the bubble.
That wasn't an anomaly. There was always some guy at a weird that would drop a lot of points on the team. That's not an anomaly.
What you mean? That's not an anomaly. If somebody plays high one year, like plays all NBA, and there's been guys that have done this before. Played
100%. They fall off.
Never made another All NBA team.
I get it, but I'm just saying, like, I understand where you're coming from. I just see it the other way.
I mean, yeah, I just don't think he had like I can't never put an asterisk bad like by the bubble ring. Like
it's not even an asterisk. I'm just looking at it, and when I think about what other guys had to go through to get to their championships, I will put those guys in front of what LeBron James went through that year.
You know, it's guys that have stage fright, like they can't play in front of big crowds, right? In the NBA, Kevin Love was suffering from anxiety. 100%. So I'm saying it cuts both ways. Like it was guys.
No, it does. And I'm just on the other end of the cut.
Playoff atmosphere separates a lot of players.
100%. And in that playoff atmosphere, with TJ Warren wasn't separated from other players. Jamal Murray wasn't separated from other players. And now, the only reason why I'm saying this is because now, especially with Jamal Murray and Buap, you notice now people are taking that like, oh, this is what he's going to be like going forward.
Only and then you just said it. Troy, they gotta be optimistic.
But you just said it. We have seen guys play good in this season and don't play good in the next season. And the only reason why people can really say Jamal Murray had that type of, or some people do say that he had that type of season or playoff season because there was no elements that could have took him or bothered him in his game or did anything to affect the game in that way. He just went in there focused and outplayed the people in front of him. And I'm not taking nothing away from him coming from doing that. That came back from 2 3-1 deficits in the bubble. Right. I'm not taking nothing away from that. That's great. It was great to watch the highlights of those games and understand like what was going on. But I just couldn't sit there and watch a whole game because I missed the elements. And I'm just being honest with you guys. I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's LeBron. Like, I don't care who won it. Luka could have won it that year. And I would have said, show me again next year.
again, like that don't mean like we know everybody not winning back-to-backs. So
No,
again,
100%. But you can show me some that you're that type of relative player. I'm saying.
I think
Like that you're that
LeBron
type
had
of
already
player.
shown that. LeBron,
Right.
like
That's why I'm not
that
saying
test.
it because of
He
LeBron,
proved
because
it.
I know LeBron has championships and he could just go back if he has the right pieces in front of him. But for a guy like Jamar Murray and TJ Warren, I'm going to say to myself, all right, I need to see more out of these guys. Boo Up, and you have said that too. And the
Yeah, but
reason
I'm
why
not.
people big them up is because of that year, because of the obstacles that was not in front of him, the stage fright that wasn't in front of him. Like
Troy,
to
I
make
don't
them
think
play to that higher
nobody
level.
really bigs them up outside of like their respective fan base, team fan base.
But that's still people. It's
That's
still
okay
people.
though.
It's not like that's 2-3 people.
But
That's
that's a
thousands
fan
of
base
people.
though. That's
Right.
a fan base being optimistic that their player is going to be the same player that he was. Like that's okay.
But I'm not
like aren't you optimistic that Jason Tatum will have the same season that he did last year?
Not optimistic he will be better.
Even better. You're making my point. Like that's
no, and I
fans
agree
do.
with you. I'm not but when you first started saying it, I'm making your point. I agreed with you.
No, that's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that I didn't take like again before the bubble happened.
But we've had this conversation, and I know you talking about G Baby, but I've heard other people say this in other forums than a Nuggets forum. Like that's what I'm saying. People do look at Jamal Murray that's not Nuggets fan as he's going to be this guy when he comes back, and we just don't know. And you have heard me say this.
We all just
don't
said,
know.
Most of us on the panel just said that we don't even believe he's a number 2. So I'm just saying like that's all we got to go off of right now is what we talking about, and we don't believe it.
And I don't like talking about that. I would have talked about the year before that, because I think if the obstacles was in the way for a team like the Nuggets, they wasn't coming back from 2-3-1 deficit.
Who says
that's
they're
just my opinion?
2-3-1 deficits?
Right, but who either which way, whether they beat the team or lose to the team, I don't think that happens. I just don't think it happens.
But I'm saying the thing about the fan momentum stuff, like it cut both ways. Like it can be used against you.
No,
like sometimes that fuels the other team. So it's like that's so undecided to say.
Yes,
like
but
if a team had home court, they could win the series.
Is it not more entertaining than watching two teams play each other with nothing around them?
From a fan standpoint,
somebody
absolutely.
saying something to Jokic or James Harden or Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving or LeBron James, and these guys just taking over a game and dropping 50. What's more entertaining?
From a fan standpoint, yes, that's always.
But that's all I'm saying. That's the only standpoint I'm talking from. It's from because that's what we are.
But from a player standpoint,
it was equal
that's
and
what I'm
fair
saying.
for everybody.
They can't.
I agree with that.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that. Did I not?
And what
I
you
agree
say,
with that already, right?
What do you say most of the time? It's about what the players like, their peers and how they feel about each other. Like the players
100%.
do not feel like LeBron won an easy ring. Like most players feel like that was a tough ring. I didn't say
LeBron won an easy ring, and I said it was equal. I'm not saying it was tough, but I just said, and we have talked about this already, Bua, and I think the consensus of people said it, that they will rank the bubble lower than other rings. I don't know why all of a sudden it's kind of crazy to you that I said that. Like we have talked about this, and I think you agree.
I'll say I've heard that.
I've definitely heard it, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Troy. I'm just telling you that the bubble ring still
it was tough. I'm not taking nothing away from it. But
I look at it so low because of what you're saying, the excitement of it. Like it wasn't that exciting of a ring to watch. That's why I view it that low. But far as the road to get it, I don't feel like LeBron had an easier road than nobody else really. You only could play who's in front of you.
No, 100%. But I'm not saying it has anything to do with the easier road or any of that. What I'm talking about is just the elements of the game, like everything that goes into it. They didn't have to go with it. Yeah, it's a fair. You can say you always tell me two things can be right at the same time, right? So it can be right that the game was fair, but it can also be right that the game wasn't the game that they're so used to playing. So who's to say that the advantages that we talk about people having didn't go in one team's favor than the other? And I don't believe that. I think it was all equal for all of them. And I think it showed which team were the better team with the circumstances that they were dealing with. I don't think it was just all of LeBron and that Lakers was the best team that year. No, it's all circumstances go into it too. Like we can't just ignore the circumstances. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I will rank that the bubble championship low. It's because the circumstances of that, what happened into it, not because LeBron won it or the playing field wasn't equal. I'm not saying none. I agree with all of that, but just because it wasn't what everybody else had to go through, dealing with crowds and all that, I can't be like, oh, this is on top next to Dirk ring when Dirk had to go through, the Miami crowd and Miami's home court and whoever else he played on the way to the championships. I can't remember right now, but
They
on the
swept
way
the
to the
Lakers
championship,
they swept the Lakers in the semis and beat the OKC Thunder 3 in the conference finals that year.
like I can't. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take a bubble ring over Kobe's rings or over when the Pistons got one. Like I'm just not going to. For me, I'm not going to do that. I have to look at the circumstances in which they're playing, injuries and everything, who they played, how they beat them, what went into that season for them, the hard work they had, how healthy they were, what they overcame, and all that situation, all those things that keep the wheel turning on the other end of them playing ball.
You know
That's
what
an
I'm hearing,
important part
Troy?
to me.
I think you finished what you were saying here really strong. Well, you finished real clear and strong. Last thing you said, you almost got me in complete agreement with you at this point. So you clarified your point really well. I almost want to rephrase what you're saying to you almost can't rank that ring because the circumstances are so unique. It's not that it's less valuable or more valuable.
The one of one.
It's so unique that how can you really compare it? But it's still just as valuable as a
I would not take the value away from it. Don't think I'm doing that.
It's hard to say if it's more or less valuable on that scale, but am I picking up what you're putting down?
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right.
It's just
it's probably something
that's
we will
why
never
for me I would
ever again and never thought we would probably see in our lifetime. That's what I think it is.
Right, and that's why I'm not mad at anybody that holds the bubble at a high level. I'm just not going to go with people that say because these guys played this way in that playoffs, the way the setting was, that they're going to be this type of player going forward. And
that's what I'm saying. Like you go back to that too a lot though, right? Like you make it all about the TJ Warrens and the.
But I addressed
Jamal
it. I
Murray.
said it. I said those.
Right.
That's the only problem I would take with the bubble. It's not that LeBron won it, because the initial thing is Melvin said that he feels like only because LeBron won it is the reason why people take problem with it. I'm saying no. For me, it's because of these things, and that's one of the things. That's why I keep going back to it.
And I'll agree with both Melvin and Troy on both those points.
Like that's why I keep going back, because these guys had anomaly seasons in that type of format, and now people are expecting these guys to be the holy grail.
Well, only Jamal Murray's shit mattered to me. Like
no,
TJ
to you
Warren
though,
shit didn't matter.
but TJ, you can't say it didn't matter when they're calling him MJ Warren.
Well, that was a joke.
The difference,
it's a joke, but people know what that means when you say it.
The difference between Jamal Murray was actually on that trajectory of
100%.
We're talking about the lottery pick and Jamal Murray. He was building. So his timing of that, it happens to be unfortunate that it hit right at the bubble. TJ Warren, straight up anomaly. Where did that
100%.
come from? Where did that come from? Nobody had.
Nobody knew. Nobody knows where it came from. It came from him being like, okay, I don't got to deal with the noise. All right, let me show up.
But correct me if I'm wrong though. The Lakers were a title contender that year.
100%. 100%. So, that's why I said it didn't surprise me that the Lakers won it. I'm not surprised at all that they won it. But it wasn't favorites going into that season, is all I said. They weren't favorites going in that season to win a championship.
They might have been the favorites.
I mean, they were definitely in the mix of the conference.
They were in the mix. I don't think they were the favorites going in. I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
I mean, they landed Anthony Davis, so
100%.
I think they were the favorites.
They could have been. They could have been.
It was talked about.
They definitely could have been the favorites, but I don't think they were. I don't remember, but I don't think they were the favorites. But
it could have been the Clippers, but I think it was the Lakers, though. It was either one of them teams for sure, the Lakers or the Clippers that year. That's what most thought was going to win it.
Bucks and Clippers that year.
Yeah, I thought it was the Bucks that were the favorites.
Yeah, but
or the Suns. I couldn't remember.
The Suns was not in the mix.
Yeah, they were. I remember when I said it, they weren't in the radar. But I'm not mad at the bubble.
They won 8 in a row in the bubble.
Yeah, they were undefeated in the bubble.
Not to be an anomaly, because then they made a finals run.
100%. They figured it out, and it was like, "Yo, that's the model right there. We could just block out the
noise during the bubble. Chris
Right.
Paul.
He was with
Chris Paul
he was
wasn't
with the
on the team.
Thunder. They got him to Phoenix, and then
But see, they found something, added it, and got better. But most teams don't follow that. My goddamn life. Most teams don't follow that aspect of figuring it out and finding the pieces to make them instantly better. And Chris Paul is just that piece to take the Suns over the top of where they needed to go to get to a finals. But that them getting to a finals, some would probably say is an anomaly too.
Who?
The Suns.
Phoenix.
I wouldn't
Because
call it an anomaly.
they say
I would say they were
this team was
fortunate,
healthy
though.
and that team was healthy. The Suns were.
I mean, but we
so.
do that. You can do that every
No, we know
year
we can do it
almost.
for every team, but we just talking about that. But
They
that
follow-
could be if those teams is healthy. What are the percentage of chance that the Suns actually go to a finals? People will say. I'm not saying I saying it. I'm just saying people will say that.
They did follow that up with their record franchise wins. I mean,
No, 100%. And then what?
Is 2 seasons an anomaly? I don't know.
What happened? What happened at the end of that season?
What I'm saying, the 2 seasons they had, they went to the
Right,
finals.
and
This is
right,
his
and
record.
then they you're right, and then in the playoffs they fizzled out when nobody expected. So people would look at that like, all right, one season you got there, the second season we thought this could be a year to get back there and actually win it, and no, look what happened, you lost in the second round.
Yeah,
So-
Chris Paul's old though. Do we have expectations that that's going to be a long-lasting contender there?
The question is, what is Chris Paul's expectations going into next year?
I mean, Chris Paul expectation is probably going to be a final strip, like clearly. Like
they want to go back.
No, I think that's
Yeah.
what he wants. I mean, any
Yeah.
team has expectations. Any team that know they could contend,
That's what you
expectation is
ask.
to win. I'm talking about what is Chris Paul individually at, like what is his expectations of himself
You
on the
mean what
floor?
we think gonna happen?
No,
'Cause
what he
his-
thinks of himself, like what he's going to
I
be able
think
to
he
do on the
think
floor.
he's a champion type player, despite not having a championship. I think he.
So you don't think
he deserves
you
to
don't
be a
think the
champion.
bad playoff performance bothers him?
No,
Okay,
he done
that's
had
all
a
I'm-
lot of those.
that's all
He
I'm-
done had a lot of those.
That's not. I don't like how you say that. He done had a lot of those. I don't
He
like
done
that.
had a lot of those. Like
I mean, this
he
is the
done
only
had a
one
lot
that
of.
he's finished though, because all the other ones he was injured and didn't ever get to finish it. So he got to actually get to finish this one. So
You know the stigma on Chris Paul, man. You can't ignore what his stigma is.
Hey, I'm gonna do one of your numbers. That's their stigma. That's not what I think.
100%. That's not what I
he's
think
a
of him either. But I'm just
champion-type
saying,
player.
100%. But I'm asking you, like we always talk about Jimmy getting old in age. Chris is getting old in age, and we can't just ignore that and think that he has an Iron Man body and Iron Man skill.
That's what I mean.
like LeBron James.
You asking me what do I think Chris Paul's going to be next year? That's what I think you asking me. Because then I could tell you that too. I don't think he's going to be as good as he was last year, obviously, but I think he can still be in the same breath of that. Like, yeah, he's 1 year older, but I still think he's going to be top 3 in assists, 14, 15
Oh,
points a
assists,
game.
yeah, I don't think that goes anywhere. I just don't know like what kind of production he's gonna have overall for the team other than the assist, and how is that gonna translate into them winning, because we also know the Ayton situation, how much is Ayton gonna be bought into the team and winning, when
That's
he
my
doesn't want to
biggest
be
concern
there.
for them.
And
But
Chris
the good thing
Paul
about
is a
Chris
big
Paul,
part
he's
of
a very
that.
vocal leader too as well.
Yeah, that's why I said Chris Paul is a big part of that.
So
That's
but
my
it's gonna be interesting to see how
only
that looks.
concern.
I think their window's done though, but that's just me.
Yeah, I would have to agree that they probably not getting back to the finals because, again, I don't know how long Chris Paul can keep up this act, but I that's what is more for me. And then I don't know what Aiden is really feeling right now. How is he going to
Yeah, Ayton is
respond?
the bigger question for me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like for Phoenix overall, that's a big problem because to me, I think they should have been and I get it. They was kind of like, real heavy on Chris Paul and understandably slow. Like the first year he gets there, he takes us to the finals. But I think they should have been looking at Aiden and Booker as their future, and they're really their future. Like even if we don't win a title right now, we still need to keep these two guys happy.
Yeah, well, they didn't really do that by having that whole thing with Aiden. Talk about him not coming back, and all of a sudden he signs a max deal in Indiana, and they match it. So it's like,
yeah,
it's like, hey, welcome back. Even though we didn't want you to come back, but we didn't want to lose you for nothing. But now we can't trade you till January. So it's like,
right.
Bygones be bygones. Can we make this work a little bit? So
Yeah, so B4B's computer, he said, just went down. I don't know what that means. Maybe shut off. I don't know. But I only got the one last question. So I'm gonna see if he coming back. Y'all can talk, y'all. Y'all gotta wait for me to text somebody.
Wow, I'm reading the chat, saying what's going on.
Yeah.
And, it's just I'm ready for this season to start. I'm just put it like that, man. We got NFL coming up and the NBA. Like it's just a good time.
Yeah, college football starts up pretty soon too. So you got a lot of stuff that's coming up within the next month.
Yeah. Definitely. It's gonna be a real interesting season in the NBA. I think I'm ready to see what this John Wall fiasco gonna look like. I think he can add to the Clippers for sure. I just don't know what people really expect from him.
Yeah, people thinking like we're gonna see Washington Wizards John Wall. We're not gonna get that.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. People think like, oh, he's gonna go in there, average 25, 12, and 8 or whatever, but he's not gonna do that. Like
I don't think he needs to do that though.
No, he definitely don't need to do it, but I just still think like Melvin saying, people really think he's the same player though. Like the expectations from him is, oh, you got John Wall, and I'm like, nah,
like he was like the prize free agent signing of the offseason is that where's John Wall gonna go? It's like,
yeah.
I mean, when a team pays you $40 million not to show up, that kind of says a lot.
It really does.
So it's like,
but I wouldn't take that because he was balling. He was kind of playing pretty well before they asked him to stop playing.
Yeah, me and you disagree on that. I think he was playing pretty solid for a guy that hasn't played in a while. Yeah, he was solid. He looked like he could still play
and
basketball.
Solid not the same thing. Is well better than solid?
Yeah, when you say well, that makes me think like he was.
What he had 20 and 6? What was he 20 and 6?
Like 19 and 6 on 42% from the field.
Nah,
that's not that good on a bad team too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Houston wasn't really scaring anybody. They didn't really have anything to do with
but
that.
He's not the same John Wall. So you're saying on a bad team, like he still is young, going off John Wall. Like the dude just came off of missing a season of Achilles injury,
and he looked like
then it got infected.
He looked like a third option right now. That's all I'm saying.
He averaged 20 and 7, bro. 40 games, he averaged 20 and 7. That's playing well to me. I don't know what it is to you.
That's not playing well to me.
On 42% shooting and 35 from the 3. I'm not.
Yeah, that's not that good to me.
Don't seem bad to me from a guy that missed the whole year.
That's a guy playing on a bad team. He was asked to be basically their number one option. Yeah, that's not to me. Again, that's not who I became accustomed to seeing. So I'm fine with the
that's
fall
the
off.
problem right there.
I'm fine with the fall off. I'm fine with it.
Right, but I would still say he played well though. I'm not gonna say he didn't play well.
I am.
Because he gives me those Westbrook vibes. I feel like if it's not gonna go his way, he's gonna.
When Klay Thompson, would you say Klay Thompson played well this year?
No.
Not to his standards, but I think
anybody
coming
right, and that's the point. That's the point. You guys are holding him to his old standards after he came off a damn leg injury. That's why I see and say we don't know what Jamal Murray is going to be. It's not because I don't believe in Jamal Murray. It's because some guys react to leg injuries, ACL tears, Achilles injuries. Their bodies react to that differently, and some of these guys don't come back the same. Right. So if we're saying Klay production dropped. Right, which in his numbers you can see his production drop. But for dude to come back and average 20 points on 40 and 38, I think that's playing well for his circumstances. I'm not looking at him as he was. I'm looking at him at what he can do now after coming off that injury. And I do that with every player. It's not.
Yeah, I think
no.
my question is more about John Wall is can he fit that culture that the Clippers are trying to do right now with Ty Lue being there and with Paul George.
Oh, I think he'll buy into Ty Lue. I think he definitely buy into Ty Lue. Ty Lue's a great coach.
We
I
seen
mean, I
what
thought
KD.
Kyrie was going to do that too, but he didn't. So
You won a
We seen what
championship.
KD
Ty
looked
Lue.
like when he came back. There's players that come back and be the same. There's players that come back and be
Yeah.
relatively the same. Like certain
But
players do
then
come
there's
back and have to
also
adjust.
right, but it's the two sides of the coin, boy.
Yeah, but I can also make the assessment that they're not playing of their standard, like
no,
of their caliber.
100%. I'm not disagreeing with you with the standard thing. I'm just saying I look at it different way. I'm not looking at what their standard is. I'm looking at what kind of player they're going to be now that they're coming off of rehabbing this Achilles or ACL or MCL tear. Like that's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking about. I'm thinking, can he get back to that standard? Yes, but I'm not just looking at him to automatically go back into being that standard. KD did it. That's great. But when KD came out, I wasn't looking at KD to come out and just be the KD that he was of old. I was looking for him to have some type of rust on him, some type of adjustment period that he needed to go through like everybody else goes through. And that's all I'm saying. He had to go through an adjustment period to get back into the flow of the game. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not disagreeing with you, and I definitely think Klay Thompson's situation is more different than John Wall's. Is what I'm saying. Like
No, 100%.
Klay
I'm just saying the
Thompson
numbers
will
are
be able
similar.
to. Yeah, but his role is different. Like John Wall is expected to
And Klay
make
played
and
32
expected to
games. John
score.
played 40.
Like that's my reality for John Wall. His job is tougher, so and it's a young man's league. Like he plays the toughest position in the league. So
yeah, we
it's
don't even.
not that he. Go ahead.
I'm just saying we don't even know if he's going to beat out Reggie Jackson for that point guard spot.
Like that's the truth.
No, that's true. Reggie
Like,
brings
that's
so
all
much
I'm
to the
saying.
team, so I'm not mad at that at all.
That's
Reggie
all I'm
brings so
saying.
much to the team. I'm not mad at that at all. Reggie has been spectacular for them. So.
If you would have told me John was 19-7 on 46% from the field, I might feel different about like
Now 19
that
is
shows me.
20.6.
Yeah,
Why you
I
keep
mean
saying
20 points, whatever, 20 points. If you had told me it was on better shooting splits, I would have
Well,
kind of.
he's never really been that good of a 3-point shooter. So 35% to me is okay.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
And then 45 from the field. I don't know what
42 from the field. Like, and that's pretty much what he's always hovered around, like 42, 43%
right.
from
So
the field.
right, 40, 42, 43, 44, 43, 44, 42, 45, 42, 44, 40.
Right. That's
like,
that's always what he's hovered around. But he's usually a 10+ assist guy. He's usually an elite defender. And I just don't know if he's that guy anymore. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, that guy was a hell of a player when he was
no, and I'm
still
not
that guy.
disputing you on that. I don't know if he's that guy either, but I think he's.
If he was that guy, Troy, I would tell you right now the Clippers gonna win the title.
Still think he can play pretty well. That's all I'm saying. I think he can play pretty well. That's it.
Like I'm a person that thinks like it's people out there that thinks John Wall is really better than Russell Westbrook, and I don't think so.
Nah.
Like right now they think like, oh, like I get in situations he could be better, like in certain situations, but you can't overwhelmingly convince me that John Wall is making these pull-up jump shots that you need Westbrook to make at a much successful clip than Westbrook. Like you're not convincing me. The only thing that looks better is his jump shot. It looks better. It looks like it's going in most of the time, but the numbers say it don't go in that much. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, I feel you.
But what do you guys think about the Jazz and Knicks, re-engaging in Donovan Mitchell trade talks? You think anything's going to happen with that, or they're just trying to keep everything warm?
Trying to stay relevant.
Yeah, I agree.
How you guys feel about that? The Boston Globe came out and said that Boston and the Nets have not talked about a real trade between Boston and the Nets for KD. All them rumors niggas out here listening to. And I told them that I don't even think them shit's real. And they weren't real. They ain't real, bro.
I wasn't expecting them to go into serious trade talks anyway. I think they were just trying to
we're pretty well.
Out. So
we pretty well off right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You guys don't need that.
I think we finals bound again.
Yeah, I think you guys are up there with Milwaukee and Miami.
I want to see the Milwaukee series with Chris Middleton fully healthy. So when we beat them, there'll be no more excuses.
Yeah. And a lot of people are saying the Miami series too, with Tyler Hero being out too.
I mean, those are key pieces to those teams, so it's
Yeah, I mean Tyler Hero was
understandable.
averaging 20 off the bench.
Oh, I didn't even get to the national games and B4B computer died. But the national game, NBA national games, this is teams with the most nationally televised games. Tell me if you're shocked by any names or you think any other names should be up there. Warriors have 42, Lakers 39, Celtics 37, Suns 34, 76ers 34, Clippers 32, Bucks 32, and Mavericks 30.
Seems about right.
Yeah, I thought the Clippers would have got a little bit more, but with their loads management stuff, I didn't think that. I thought New Orleans and Memphis would probably got a little, and maybe Minnesota too would have got a little bit more.
Definitely New Orleans and Memphis. I could see that. That's the future, quote unquote. So yeah, those two teams. But yeah, I mean, I still mostly think they got it right.
Yeah, I think
Those are the
we already
most
know those top
entertaining
teams are going to
teams.
be at the top though, with the Lakers and the Warriors, and
Right.
the Nets are unknown because we don't know what their roster is going to look like this year. But it gives an opportunity for those teams to prove their worth, I guess. So
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but it's nice that we're not seeing. It's nice that we're not seeing the same teams over and over again, because I know a lot of people are frustrated, myself included, when the Lakers were playing on national televised games, and they didn't have anybody on that team at all. Like without LeBron and AD, and I just wanted to see Westbrook with a bunch of, 7, 8, 9 guys on the, at the end of their bench playing on televised games. It was very hard to watch. So I'm glad they're recognizing new teams to throw out there and not the same usual team. So it's nice to see some transparency in the league too. So
no, yeah, 100%. It's gonna be a good season coming up. But I'm ready to get up out of here. I'm gonna save the rivalry question for maybe Friday. I think it'll be a good episode because we got SB Talk Sports, we got Mel, and we got Theo on. So I think it's gonna be some excitement. And I don't know if Boo Wop's seen the doc yet, but we doing a Reggie Miller safe out.
Okay.
And Boo Wop, I'm just gonna tell you, you better be ready. I don't think it's gonna go how people think it's gonna go.
That's a tough one.
We're gonna see him.
It's gonna be fire, so you guys don't want to miss it. But final thoughts, man.
Yeah, it's good to like we said earlier, everything's coming together. On a personal note, I'm glad the Lakers are retiring Paul Gasol's jersey. I think that was a very wise thing to do. I mean, a lot of people probably say he doesn't have the accolades that other Laker legends have, but when he was with the Lakers, they went to 3 straight finals and won back-to-back. So I think his jersey, is worthy of being retired. So
yeah, I agree. He just played for a story franchise, so it'd be like that sometimes, but can't never diminish his impact to those championship teams.
Yeah.
900. Who up?
You already know, man. See you guys Friday, man.
See you Friday, man. Great doc.